The strategy that's better than silence, Dr. Laura Berman style, we've all heard the phrase. Silence is powerful, and its true silence can command respect, create intrigue, and make people lean in just a little closer, wondering what's going on beneath the surface. It's a timeless tool, used by great minds, masterful leaders, and deep thinkers across history. But let me ask you something. Is silence alone really enough? Does staying quiet actually give you the edge? Or is there something more intentional, more nuanced, more effective? Welcome to Stoic Blessing, where we blend ancient wisdom with modern psychology to help you step into your full, authentic power. Today, we're diving into a concept that might challenge what you've been taught, a strategy that isn't just better than silence, it transcends it. Now, let's be clear, silence has its place. It can be a power move. It can signal strength, self-control, even mystery. But silence, on its own, is passive. It leaves room for interpretation, and sometimes misinterpretation. And if you want to leave a lasting impact, if you want to walk into a room and have your presence felt without saying a word, then you need more than silence. You need conscious presence. This isn't about being louder. It's not about dominating people or conversations. It's about energy, intention, stillness that radiates. It's about carrying yourself in a way that says, I know who I am, without ever needing to say it out loud. That, right there, is influence. Marcus Aurelius once said, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. That's not just a quote. That's a mindset. It's the idea that real power isn't about declaring yourself, it's about embodying yourself. And when you embody your values, your standards, your truth, you don't have to talk much. People feel it, and they remember you. This is the real strategy, the next level. The way of being that doesn't just leave an impression, it leaves a mark. Whether you're navigating relationships, building a career, or evolving your inner life, your presence is your most valuable currency. And presence isn't just about being physically there, it's about how people feel when you're around. What do they sense in your stillness? What do they perceive when you're quiet, yet fully grounded? This isn't manipulation, it's mastery. When you combine the emotional regulation of Stoicism with the psychological understanding of influence, you don't need noise. You don't need to over-explain. You simply exist fully, intentionally, confidently, and that changes everything. So, if you've ever felt like silence wasn't enough, if you've walked away from situations wondering why your energy didn't land, this is your shift. This is your call to become deliberate, not just silent, strategic, not just still, to show up with a presence so refined and aligned that others don't just notice you, stay on their mind long after you've gone. Now, before we go deeper, I want you to do one small thing for yourself. If you're ready to step into this energy to own your influence in a calm, grounded, authentic way, then tap that like button and drop a comment below with this affirmation. I use my presence wisely. Say it out loud. Write it down. Breathe into it. Because your journey into true influence doesn't start when you speak, it begins when you become. And becoming begins now. Let's start with silence, because before we can understand why there's something better, we have to fully appreciate why silence works so powerfully in the first place. For centuries, silence has been a cornerstone of inner strength and influence. The Stoics knew this deeply. Epictetus once said, silence is safer than speech. And he was right. Silence protects your energy. It keeps you from saying things you might regret. And maybe most importantly, it creates an aura of mystery, of discipline, of quiet control. Think about it. In a world where everyone's trying to be heard, silence stands out. When you choose not to speak, you create a kind of psychological vacuum. People feel it. They rush to fill it with their own thoughts, their own assumptions, even their own anxieties. It draws them in. That's not just poetic, that's psychological gravity. Silence makes people project their fears, their hopes, their insecurities, all of it lands on you. And suddenly, Without doing or saying anything, you carry more power than if you tried to explain yourself 100 times over. And here's the beauty of it. The power of silence isn't just in what it holds back. It's in how it contrasts with the noise. Because we live in a world that's loud opinions flying everywhere, constant debate, pressure to respond, to react. Silence breaks that rhythm. It's rare. And that's exactly what makes it noticeable. Silence resets the energy. It commands attention. It shifts the room. And when used intentionally, silence gives you control. It allows you to set the tone without uttering a word. Let me give you a real-world example. Imagine you're in a heated moment. Someone is angry, emotional, even accusing. They're raising their voice, trying to provoke you. What do most people do? They react. They defend. They explain. But not you. You stay still. You stay silent. You meet their intensity with calm. What happens next? They begin to unravel. They feel exposed. They realize they're alone in the noise and that they've lost control. That's the kind of power silence can hold. And it doesn't just apply in conflict. It works in relationships, in negotiations, in everyday interactions. When you go, truly quiet people lean in. They wonder what you're thinking. They want to know you. But here's the truth that most people miss. Silence works because it's rare. And anything rare, when overused, starts to lose its edge. Silence that becomes predictable isn't powerful anymore. It becomes passive. And that's when we begin to see its limitations. Because there are moments when silence leaves too much space, when people don't just wonder. They start assuming. When your absence doesn't create intrigue, it creates doubt. And in those moments, silence can cost you more than it gives. This is where we evolve. This is where silence needs to be part of something larger, a strategy that blends quiet discipline with intentional, purposeful presence. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's what silence gives you, mastery over yourself. But that's only half of the equation. The Stoics weren't passive. They believed in action measured, focused, meaningful action. They didn't stay quiet for the sake of it. They stayed quiet when it served their purpose. And when the moment called for it, they spoke. They moved with clarity and with power. So yes, silence is powerful, but it's just the beginning. There's a strategy that takes everything silence does well: mystery, self-control, restrained hand elevates it into something even greater: presence. Because if silence is the art of saying nothing, then presence is the art of saying everything without uttering a word. Presence is how you walk into a room and shift the energy. It's how people feel you without hearing you. It's how your stillness isn't empty, it's full. Full of intention, full of confidence, full of you. And here's what I want you to remember. While silence creates mystery, presence creates power. Presence is what makes you unforgettable. It's what makes you impossible to ignore. The Stoics mastered this. They weren't performers. They weren't attention seekers. But their presence lingered. Their words landed. And their silences, they meant something. So I want to ask you, have you ever felt the power of silence in your own life? Have you ever seen what happens when you choose not to react, but instead be fully present, fully grounded? If you have, take a moment now to honor that growth. Tap the like button and drop this in the comments. I master silence and action. Write it. Say it. Own it. Because mastering silence is just step one. Mastering presence, that's when your life truly starts to shift. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." And that wisdom runs deeper than you might think. Because your presence, how you carry yourself, how you move through the world, how you hold space for others is nothing more than a reflection of what is happening internally. When your thoughts are strong, intentional, and grounded in discipline, it shows. It's in your posture, your gaze, your tone. It's in your energy. And that's why presence real. Conscious presence is more powerful than words. It's silence with substance. Now, here's where things get really interesting. Presence leaves a psychological weight on the people around you. Think about the last time someone walked into a room and exuded calm confidence. You noticed, didn't you? They didn't need to speak. Their energy spoke for them louder than any introduction ever could. And even after they left, the memory of their presence lingered. That's not charisma. That's not performance. That's presence. And presence works because it's active even when it's silent. While silence can create a void that others try to fill, presence creates gravity. It draws people in. It commands attention not by force, but by certainty. It's not about being flashy or loud. It's about being deliberate, standing tall, making eye contact, moving with intention. It sends a clear message. I know who I am. I don't need to prove it. And that, right there, is the energy that shifts dynamics in any room. Now, let's connect this to something deeper, something that psychology understands well. Human beings are wired to respond to subtle cues, body language, facial expressions, micro-movements. These bypass logic and speak directly to the subconscious. If you appear composed, people assume you're in control. If you move with purpose, they assume you have a plan. If your presence feels intentional, others instinctively take you seriously. This is the gateway into dark psychology, not manipulation, but awareness. When you pair calm, silent presence with deliberate, nonverbal cues, your influence multiplies tenfold. But here's the thing. Presence isn't just what others experience. It's what you cultivate. When you build real presence, you're training yourself to stay grounded no matter what chaos surrounds you. The Stoics believe that mastery begins within, and presence is simply the external reflection of that inner mastery. Epictetus once said, "Man is not worried by real problems so much as by his imagined anxieties about real problems." When you master your thoughts, you stop projecting anxiety. Your energy becomes steady, calm, and deeply magnetic. Let me give you an example. Imagine you walk into a room where someone you admire is sitting. They don't even look up. They don't need to. Yet their energy fills the space. You feel it. You're drawn to them. You're curious what makes them so still, so certain, so powerful. That's the psychological weight of presence. It's not about what they say. It's about who they are being. And the truth is, you can cultivate that same energy. It isn't reserved for the few. It's available to anyone who's willing to build themselves from the inside out. Because while silence can make people wonder about you, presence makes them remember you. And when you combine the two, strategic silence with undeniable presence, you create a force that doesn't just shift the moment. It shapes the entire narrative. Here's the most beautiful part. Presence doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't chase attention. It doesn't rely on validation. It simply is. Your presence is your declaration of self-mastery. You're living proof that you've risen above the noise and claimed your space in this world. So let me ask you, how are you showing up in the spaces you occupy? Are you simply there? Or are you present? If you're ready to cultivate the kind of presence that commands attention, earns respect, and leaves a lasting imprint, take a moment right now to act. Like this video, and drop this in the comments. I master my presence. Say it, write it, own it. Because presence isn't just what they see, it's what they feel. And that feeling lasts far longer than any words ever could. Now, let's take this a step further. The Stoics believe presence and silence were foundational but never complete without action. Because while your energy speaks volumes, it's your actions that build the legacy. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You must become an old man in good time if you wish to be an old man long." What he meant is simple. If you want to shape your future, shape your choices. Now. Your legacy isn't something you speak into existence. It's something you act into reality. Action is the bridge between intention and outcome. It gives your presence depth. It gives your silence weight. It makes your energy real. And the most powerful actions, they're rarely loud. They're rarely obvious. They're deliberate, thoughtful, quietly effective, a calm decision, a step forward when others freeze, a shift in energy that redirects the room. That's Stoic action measured, grounded, and undeniable. So the formula is this: silence, presence, and action. When you align all three, you step into a level of personal power most never reach. You stop reacting. You start leading. You become the still point in the chaos. And from that place, you don't just make an impact. You leave a legacy. Psychology tells us something simple but powerful. Humans are more influenced by what they see than by what they hear. That means people don't just respond to your words, they respond to your actions, especially when those actions are deliberate, consistent, and visible. So when you move steadily toward your goals, stay composed in chaos and make intentional decisions without seeking applause or validation. People feel it. They may never say it out loud, but they respect it deeply. The Stoics understood this without needing research studies. They didn't waste energy convincing others. They focused entirely on what they could control, their own behavior. Seneca once said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more. That is poor." And this applies to action too. Don't crave attention. Don't crave validation. Take action that aligns with your core values and let your moves speak louder than any words ever could. Because here's the truth. The more deliberate you are, the more powerful your presence becomes. But action isn't just about influencing others. It's about shaping yourself. Every step you take is a message to your own subconscious. When you show up for your goals, when you follow through, you build trust in the one person whose opinion matters most, yourself. And that self-trust, it's the root of unshakable confidence. The Stoics believed that mastery of the self is the highest form of power. And they were right. You can't think your way into strength. You have to act your way into it. So let's tie this all together. Silence creates mystery. Presence commands attention. But action cements your impact. When you combine the stillness of silence, the groundedness of presence, and the momentum of purposeful action, you create a force that can't be ignored. You don't just stand out. You leave a mark. Every move you make, no matter how small, sends a message. So ask yourself, are your actions telling the world you're intentional, composed, and in control? Or are they reactive, scattered, uncertain? The Stoics remind us, every choice is a reflection of who we are. So choose actions that reflect your strength. Let me ask you, when was the last time your actions spoke louder than your words? If you're ready to embody the Stoic principle of purposeful action, take a moment right now. Like this video and drop this in the comments. My actions define me. Because words can be forgotten, but your actions, they leave a legacy. Now, let's take this one step further into the psychology of perception. Perception is reality. How people see you shapes how they respond to you. It shapes how they think about you even when you're not there. This is where dark psychology becomes relevant, not as manipulation, but as awareness. Awareness of how your body language, expressions, silence, and movement all speak directly to the subconscious. The Stoics may not have used the term dark psychology, but they understood the principle. Epictetus said, "First, say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." That's perception management in its purest form. It means decide who you want to be and then align everything with that image. Your energy, your posture, your actions, your silence. Let me paint the picture. You walk into a room full of strangers. If you slouch, avoid eye contact, and fidget, what? Are you communicating insecurity, uncertainty, lack of control? Now imagine you walk in tall, shoulders back, calm, steady eye contact. You haven't said a word, but your energy already tells the story. You're composed. You're grounded. You belong. That's perception management, and it's powerful. Here's the edge dark psychology gives us. People are constantly reading and reacting to subconscious cues. They don't even realize they're doing it. So if your nonverbal signals project clarity and confidence, they'll believe you're capable even before they know your name. And when you combine this with strategic silence and deliberate presence, you become magnetic. People don't just notice you. They remember you. They wonder about you. They keep thinking about you long after you've left. And when your actions are purposeful but not overly explained, when there's intention without excess explanation, you create intrigue. That curiosity, it's power. It keeps you in their minds, quietly shaping the way they perceive you, even in your absence. Marcus Aurelius once said, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." And in the same spirit, you shouldn't fear how others perceive you. You should fear not taking control of it. Every move you make, whether it's an action or a silence, contributes to the story people tell themselves about you. So why not be intentional with that story? And know this isn't about being fake. It's not about manipulation. It's about alignment. It's about making sure the way you show up on the outside reflects who you are on the inside, or who you're becoming. When your presence, your silence, and your actions all reflect inner clarity, you're not just managing perception. You're building your reputation. And reputation, that's a kind of power no one can take away from you. So how do you put all of this into practice? Start small. Pay attention to your posture, your expressions, your movements. Ask yourself, are these signals aligned with who I want to be? If not, adjust, because perception isn't fixed. It's something you shape day by day. So let me leave you with this. What impression are you leaving right now? If you're ready to take full control of how others see you and how you see yourself, affirm it. Like this video and drop this in the comments. I shape my reality. Because at the end of the day, how the world sees you starts with how you choose to show up. And that is fully in your hands. Presence. Now that we've explored the power of silence, presence, and perception, it's time to reveal the strategy that ties it all together. Controlled visibility. This is a game-changing approach that combines the mystery of silence, the weight of presence, and the deliberate action of Stoicism into one cohesive method. Controlled visibility isn't about being everywhere or nowhere. It's about being seen when it matters most. It's about showing up intentionally, with purpose, and leaving an impression so strong it's impossible to ignore. Here's the essence of controlled visibility. You don't need to be constantly in someone's life to have an impact. In fact, being overly available diminishes your value. The Stoics knew this well. Epictetus said, "Know first who you are, and then adorn yourself accordingly." Controlled visibility is about knowing your value and showcasing it strategically. It's about choosing the right moments to engage, the right ways to show up, and the right actions to leave behind. Let me break it down for you. Controlled visibility means being selective about when and how you present yourself. Instead of flooding a situation with noise, you focus on quality over quantity. For example, instead of constantly texting or calling someone, you reach out with purpose. Instead of attending every event or meeting, you make the moments you do show up count. This creates a sense of intrigue and respect. People value what's scarce, and your presence becomes a rare and valuable commodity. Here's where dark psychology plays a role. People are drawn to what feels exclusive and intentional. When you're always available, they subconsciously take you for granted. But when your visibility is controlled, when you appear only at key moments with deliberate actions, it forces them to pay attention. They'll start to wonder, why is he here now? What's he thinking? What's his purpose? That curiosity makes you unforgettable. And that's the power of controlled visibility. It creates intrigue, respect, and a lasting impression. Controlled visibility isn't just about absence, though. It's about strategic presence. When you do show up, you do so with purpose. Your body language is strong. Your actions are intentional. Your words are chosen carefully. And when you leave a gap that others feel. It's not just about being seen. It's about being felt. The Stoics believe that everything you do should align with your values and purpose. Marcus Aurelius said, "Let your thoughts be ruled by principles." Controlled visibility is your chance to live this wisdom too. Act with clarity and purpose. Let's talk about a practical example. Imagine you've been silent in a social circle or relationship for a while. Instead of reappearing randomly, you show up at a moment that matters, a pivotal conversation, a meaningful event, or a time when your input carries weight. When you speak, you're concise and composed. When you act, it's with precision. And when you leave, you've created a memory, a moment that stays with them long after you're gone. That's controlled visibility. It's silence with intention, presence with purpose. But here's the most important part. Controlled visibility isn't just about influencing others. It's about mastering yourself. It's about knowing when to step back to focus on your growth and when to step forward to make an impact. The Stoics believed that the ultimate power lies in self-mastery. Controlled visibility is your chance to practice that mastery. It requires discipline, patience, and confidence in your value. And when you get it right, it transforms how others see you and how you see yourself. Let me ask you this. How often are you visible in ways that truly matter? Are you showing up with purpose? Or are you spreading yourself too thin? If you're ready to master the art of controlled visibility, take a moment now, like this video, and comment below. I choose when to be seen. Because this isn't just a strategy, it's a lifestyle. Now that you understand the concept of controlled visibility, let's talk about how to put it into action. Controlled visibility isn't just a mindset, it's a strategy you can implement in every aspect of your life, from relationships to career to personal growth. The key is to strike the perfect balance between presence and absence, between silence and action. This requires discipline, timing, and an unshakable belief in your value. Step 1. Start with self-awareness. Before you can control how others see you, you need to understand yourself. Ask yourself, what impression do I want to leave? What values do I want my actions to reflect? The Stoics emphasize this kind of self-reflection. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When your actions align with your principles, your presence becomes authentic and powerful. Controlled visibility begins with knowing who you are and what you stand for. Step 2. Choose your moments wisely. Controlled visibility is about quality, not quantity. You don't need to be in every conversation or at every event to be impactful. Instead, identify the moments where your presence will have the most value. For example, in a relationship, this could mean showing up during critical conversations where your input truly matters. In your career, it might mean contributing only when your insights can drive a project forward. The key is to act selectively so when you do show up, people notice. Step 3. Make your actions deliberate. When you decide to be visible, make it count. Your words, body language, and energy should all align with your purpose. Speak clearly, stand confidently, and move with intention. Even small actions, like how you greet someone or how you listen, can leave a lasting impression if done with purpose. The Stoics believed in action over empty words. Seneca said, "Words that are devoid of truth are meaningless." Controlled visibility is about meaningful actions that resonate long after you're gone. Step 4. Practice strategic absence doesn't mean disappearing completely. It means stepping back to create space for others to feel your value. When you're always available, your presence can lose its impact. But when you're absent at the right times, you create a sense of scarcity that makes people appreciate you more. This doesn't mean being cold or distant. It means allowing your absence to speak for itself. Remember, absence doesn't weaken your influence, it amplifies it when used strategically. Step 5. Be unpredictable. One of the most powerful aspects of controlled visibility is keeping others guessing. When people can't predict when or how you'll show up, it creates intrigue. Dark psychology teaches us that unpredictability increases curiosity and respect. Don't let your patterns become too obvious. Sometimes your silence will carry the day, other times A single deliberate action will shift the entire dynamic. The key is to keep them wondering, what's his next move? Step 6. Focus on consistency. Over time. Controlled visibility isn't about a single moment, it's about building a reputation over time. Your selective presence and deliberate actions will create an image of you as someone who's thoughtful, intentional, and powerful. The Stoics taught that greatness isn't achieved overnight. Epictetus said, "No great thing is created suddenly. Stick to the strategy, stay disciplined, and trust that every move you make is shaping how you're perceived." Let's put this into perspective. Imagine someone who only speaks when they have something valuable to say, who shows up at the perfect moments, and whose actions always align with their values. Wouldn't you respect them? Wouldn't you remember them? That's the person you're becoming. When you master controlled visibility, you're not just seeing your felt. So let me ask you, how deliberate are you about the way you show up? Are you making your presence count? Or are you spreading it too thin? If you're ready to execute controlled visibility and leave a lasting impression in every area of your life, take action now. Like this video and comment below. I show up with purpose. Because this isn't just a tactic, it's a way of living. Now, let's talk about a psychological phenomenon that makes controlled visibility even more powerful. The contrast principle. This principle is rooted in both Stoicism and dark psychology, and it's the secret weapon behind amplifying the impact of your actions, presence, and absence. The contrast principle is simple, but profound. Value is amplified when it's experienced in contrast to something else. Silence feels powerful when it follows noise. Presence feels magnetic when it interrupts absence. Deliberate action feels impactful when it stands against hesitation. The Stoics understood this well. Epictetus said, "It is not things themselves that disturb men, but their judgments about these things." Contrast shapes judgment. When you alternate between being unavailable and highly intentional in your actions, people's perception of you changes. Your silence is no longer just silence, it becomes a statement. Your presence isn't just casual, it feels significant. Contrast makes people pay attention. It forces them to see what they might otherwise overlook. Let me give you an example. Think of someone who is always present, always available, always speaking. Over time, their presence loses its impact. Now imagine someone who is quiet and composed most of the time, but occasionally steps forward with a decisive action or a powerful comment. That contrast makes their presence stand out. It's not just what they do, it's when and how they do it that makes them memorable. Here's where dark psychology comes into play. People are wired to notice changes. Our brains are designed to pay attention to shifts in behavior, patterns, and availability. When you create contrast by alternating between silence and action, presence and absence, you keep people intrigued. They start to wonder, why is he quiet now? What's his next move? Why does his presence feel so significant? This psychological pull keeps you in their thoughts even when you're not physically there. Contrast also creates emotional impact. Absence makes people appreciate presence. Deliberate action makes people rethink silence. This is why controlled visibility works so well. It leverages the contrast principle to amplify everything you do. Your silence feels heavier. Your words feel sharper. Your actions feel bolder. And the best part? You don't have to explain yourself. The contrast speaks for itself. But this principle isn't just about others, it's also about you. The Stoics believed in the power of reflecting on contrasts to cultivate gratitude and self-awareness. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Think of yourself as dead. You have lived your life. Now take what's left and live it properly." This reflection on contrasts between life and death, opportunity, and regret helps you focus on what truly matters. The contrast principle isn't just a tool to influence others, it's a way to sharpen your own sense of purpose. And that's what makes this strategy so effective. It doesn't just leave an impression, it leaves them wanting more. So let me ask you, are you creating contrasts in the way you show up? Are you leaving enough space for people to feel your absence and Appreciate your presence. If you're ready to master the art of the contrast principle, take action now. Like this video and comment below. My impact is undeniable. Because when you combine presence, purpose, and contrast, you don't just exist, you dominate. Now, we arrive at the core of everything we've discussed. Empowerment through mastery, controlled visibility, deliberate action, and the contrast principle are all tools, but the real power comes from mastering yourself first. This is the heart of Stoicism. The Stoics believe that self-mastery is the foundation of all influence, all power, and all fulfillment. Marcus Aurelius said it best, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. Empowerment isn't about controlling others. It's about controlling yourself. It's about understanding that the way you carry yourself, the way you act, and the way you appear to others all begin with what's happening internally. Your presence, your silence, and your actions are only as powerful as the mind behind them. Mastering yourself means developing the discipline to act with purpose and the confidence to stay silent when it serves you better. Let's break this down. Self-mastery starts with your mindset. The Stoics believed your thoughts shape your reality. Epictetus said, "Man is not disturbed by things but by the views he takes of them." This means your reactions, emotions, and sense of control are entirely within your hands. When you train your mind to remain steady, to stay calm under pressure, you project an energy others can feel. That's where empowerment begins, with your ability to stay grounded no matter what. The second layer of mastery is discipline. Mastery requires consistency, and consistency is built on habits. It's the small daily actions that create the foundation for your confidence and presence. When you follow through on your commitments to yourself, whether it's physical training, mental discipline, or emotional resilience, you build trust in your own abilities. And when you trust yourself, others will naturally sense your strength. Here's the beauty of this. When you master yourself, you stop needing external validation. You're no longer chasing approval or attention because you already know your worth. That's what makes controlled visibility so effective. It's not about proving anything to anyone else. It's about showing up with clarity, confidence, and purpose. Knowing your presence is already enough. But here's where it gets deeper. Mastery isn't just about internal strength. It's also about alignment. Your presence, your silence, and your actions must all align with your values. When they do, you create a sense of authenticity that people can't ignore. Authenticity is rare and it's magnetic. People can feel when someone is walking the talk, when their actions match their words. That's why the Stoics place such a strong emphasis on living virtuously. Seneca said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more. That is poor." Mastery isn't about having everything, it's about being enough. Now, let's tie this back to controlled visibility. When you master yourself, you don't need to overcompensate with noise or constant presence. Your energy becomes a statement on its own. When you act, it's deliberate. When you're silent, it's purposeful. When you're absent, it's felt. This is the power of self-mastery. It amplifies every strategy we've discussed because it begins with you. Here's the real truth. The path to mastery isn't easy. It requires patience, reflection, and a willingness to confront your own weaknesses. But the reward is worth it. When you master yourself, you don't just influence others, you inspire them. Your presence becomes a reminder of what's possible, and your absence becomes a call to reflect on what they've lost. That's true empowerment. Let me ask you, are you in control of your mind, your actions, and your energy? Or are you letting outside events dictate who you are? If you're ready to take ownership of your life, to empower yourself through mastery, take action now. Like this video and comment below. I am the master of my life. Because real power doesn't come from controlling others, it comes from mastering yourself. We've come full circle. We started with silence, explored presence, uncovered the power of action, and mastered the art of contrast. But through it all, one truth remains constant. Your greatest power doesn't lie in controlling others. It lies in controlling yourself. Everything we've discussed today is rooted in the idea of self-mastery. The strategies we've uncovered controlled visibility, deliberate action, and the contrast principle are only as powerful as the mind and discipline behind them. The Stoics believe that life isn't about what happens to you, it's about how you respond. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." This is your reminder. Every moment is an opportunity to live intentionally, to act purposefully, and to carry yourself with the confidence of someone who knows their worth. Controlled visibility isn't just a strategy, it's a reflection of your ability to move through the world with clarity and focus. Now, here's where the transformation truly begins. Everything we've talked about only works if you apply it. Knowledge without action is nothing. So I'm challenging you to take these ideas and make them part of your life. Start small. Practice silence when it's needed. Step back when it serves you better. Then, when the moment calls for it, show up with purpose, with presence, and with action so deliberate it leaves a lasting mark. Controlled visibility isn't about doing everything. It's about doing the right things at the right time. Think about it. How much more powerful would your relationships, your career, or even your daily interactions be if you started living with this kind of intention? Imagine walking into every room, every conversation, every opportunity with the quiet confidence of someone who doesn't just exist but commands respect. That's what happens when you master yourself, your presence, and your actions. You don't just leave an impression, you leave a legacy. But here's the truth. This journey won't always be easy. Self-mastery requires discipline. Controlled visibility demands patience. And building a presence that speaks louder than words takes time. But if you stay consistent, if you stay committed, the results will speak for themselves. You'll start to notice how people respond to you differently, how they lean in when you speak, how they respect your silence, and how they feel your absence. That's the power of these strategies, and that's the power of becoming the master of your life. So now I have one final question for you. What are you going to do next? Are you going to continue blending into the background? Or are you going to start showing up with purpose and intention? If you're ready to take control of your presence, your actions, and your impact, here's what I need you to do. Like this video right now. It's a small step, but it's the first of many deliberate actions. Then drop a comment below with this phrase, "I leave a legacy." Say it, write it, believe it, because that's the level of impact you're stepping into. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Stoic Blessing and turn on notifications so you never miss another video that helps you become the most powerful, grounded version of yourself. This is your journey to mastery, and I'm here to guide you every step of the way. Remember, the power of your silence, your presence, and your actions isn't just about being noticed. It's about making your life a testament to your strength and purpose. Keep rising, keep mastering yourself, and keep blessing the world with your strength. I'll see you in the next video.